Emma sat nervously at the corner table of the elegant restaurant, her hands clenched tightly around the menu she wasn't really reading. She hadn't been on a date in years, not since the accident that left her in a wheelchair and robbed her of the carefree confidence she once had. Tonight was supposed to be different, though. Her best friend had convinced her to try a blind date, saying she deserved love just as much as anyone else. The idea sounded nice in theory, but as the minutes ticked by and the seat across from her remained empty, Emma's heart sank. She had dressed carefully, curled her blonde hair, and even allowed herself a flicker of hope, but it seemed her date had other plans. Just as she debated leaving, the doors burst open and in walked a man who clearly didn't belong in this upscale place. His shirt bore grease stains, his hands looked rough, and his boots clunked against the polished floor. He paused, scanning the room awkwardly, then hurried toward her table. "I'm so sorry I'm late," he said, slightly out of breath. "I'm Jake. My truck broke down outside the city, and, well, I'm a mechanic, so I tried fixing it myself." Emma blinked in surprise, unsure whether to laugh or feel offended. This was not the man she had expected. She pictured a polished businessman, maybe someone who would understand her world as a CEO. Instead, here was someone who looked like he'd just walked out of a garage. But something about his crooked smile and honest eyes made her pause. He didn't seem embarrassed, only genuine. And for the first time in a long while, Emma felt curiosity stir inside her. Emma studied Jake closely as he settled into the chair across from her, brushing a bit of dust from his shirt as if it might make him fit in better with the neatly dressed crowd around them. The waiter gave him a suspicious glance, but Jake seemed unfazed, smiling politely as he picked up the menu. "Wow," he whispered with a grin, "these prices are scarier than my rent." Emma couldn't help it, a small laugh slipped past her lips, surprising even herself. It had been so long since she laughed at something so simple. Jake noticed and his smile widened, like her laughter was the best reward he could have earned. "Look, I'll be honest," he continued, lowering his voice. "I've never been on a blind date. My buddy signed me up for this because he said I need to get out more. I almost didn't come, but then I figured, what's the worst that could happen?" Emma tilted her head, her defenses softening. He wasn't polished or rehearsed like the men she used to meet at networking events. He was real, unfiltered, and oddly refreshing. Still, she couldn't shake the feeling that he might bolt when he realized who she really was, not just a woman in a wheelchair, but a CEO of a major company. People usually saw her chair first and her title second, and most didn't stay long enough to understand her story. Yet Jake wasn't staring at the chair or fumbling for the right words. Instead, he leaned forward, eyes bright with genuine interest, and asked, "So, Emma, what's something that makes you happy? Like, really happy?" The question caught her off guard. It wasn't about her condition, her job, or her limitations. It was about her. And in that moment, she felt truly seen. Emma hesitated at first, unsure how to answer. No one had asked her such a personal question in years, not without an agenda attached. Usually, people wanted to know about her company, her responsibilities, or the challenges of navigating life with her disability. But Jake's question felt different. It wasn't about pity or admiration, it was about joy. Slowly, a smile curved across her face as she said, "Sunsets. I love watching the sky change colors. It reminds me that endings can still be beautiful." Jake's expression softened, and for a moment, he looked like he was carrying 100 memories of his own. "I get that," he said quietly. "For me, it's fixing something that's completely broken. Taking an engine apart, piece by piece, and bringing it back to life, it feels like giving second chances." His words struck her in a place she didn't know needed healing. She thought of her own life, how shattered it had felt after the accident, how she believed she'd never feel whole again. And here was this man, greasy hands and all, talking about second chances like it was the most natural thing in the world. The dinner stretched on with laughter and stories, the minutes melting into hours. Emma found herself forgetting where she was, forgetting the stairs she normally noticed, forgetting even the chair that defined her every move. Jake didn't treat her like she was fragile or broken. He treated her like a woman worth knowing. By the time dessert arrived, Emma realized something she never expected. This blind date, which she had been so sure was a disaster, was beginning to feel like a miracle in disguise. And for the first time in years, she felt the warmth of hope flicker inside her chest. As the evening wound down, Emma felt a lightness she hadn't known in years, but just as the check arrived, her old fears crept back. She was used to being the one with power, the one who picked up the bill without blinking. Tonight, though, she hesitated, not wanting to insult Jake's pride. Before she could reach for her purse, Jake quickly snatched up the bill. His brows lifted slightly at the number, but he didn't flinch. "Don't worry," he said, forcing a smile, "I've got this." Emma's heart tightened. She could tell the dinner was more than he could easily afford. "Jake, you don't have to," she began, but he interrupted, shaking his head firmly. "Emma, you gave me your time tonight. You laughed with me. You listened. That's worth more than money. Let me do this." His words melted the wall around her heart. Most men in her world measured worth by bank accounts or social standing, but here was someone who measured it by kindness. As they left the restaurant, the cool night air brushing against their faces, Jake surprised her again. He didn't rush ahead or awkwardly hover. Instead, he matched her pace, walking by her wheelchair as though it was the most natural thing in the world. "So," he said softly, glancing at her with that same crooked smile, "would you like to do this again sometime?" Emma swallowed hard, fighting back unexpected tears. She hadn't thought anyone would look past her chair, let alone ask to see her again. And yet, standing under the glow of the streetlights, she realized this wasn't just a date. It was the beginning of something she had stopped believing in, possibility. Over the next few weeks, Emma and Jake found themselves drawn together like two pieces of a puzzle they never knew were missing. Their worlds couldn't have been more different, Emma's filled with boardrooms, tight schedules, and high-stakes decisions, while Jake's revolved around wrenches, late-night repairs, and the smell of motor oil. Yet somehow, when they were together, none of those differences mattered. Emma noticed how Jake never once treated her like a burden. When her wheelchair got stuck on a gravel path at the park, he didn't panic or make a scene, he simply knelt down, cleared the stones with his calloused hands, and joked, "Good thing you brought a mechanic." She laughed until her stomach ached, realizing how rare it was to feel so at ease. Jake, in turn, admired Emma's strength. He saw past the chair to the woman who carried herself with quiet dignity, who faced challenges head-on and still found reasons to smile. He told her she reminded him of engines he'd fixed, the ones that looked hopeless at first but turned out to be the strongest once rebuilt. Slowly, Emma began to let her guard down. She shared stories of nights she cried herself to sleep, of dreams she thought she had lost forever. And Jake listened, never trying to fix her pain with empty words, only holding her gaze and saying, "You don't need fixing, Emma. You're already more than enough." Those words echoed in her heart long after he spoke them, stirring a healing she didn't know she needed. What had started as a blind date disaster was transforming into something far deeper, an unexpected love that was mending both of their broken places. One evening, just as the sun dipped low and painted the sky with streaks of gold and crimson, Emma and Jake sat together by the water's edge. It had become their favorite spot, a quiet escape from the noise of the world. Emma turned to him, her voice trembling. "You know, when I agreed to that blind date, I thought it was going to be a disaster. I almost left before you even arrived." Jake chuckled softly, squeezing her hand. "Well, it was kind of a disaster," he teased, "but the kind worth having." Her laughter mingled with the breeze, but then her expression grew serious. "Jake, you've shown me something I thought I'd lost forever, hope. For so long, I felt invisible, like no one could see me beyond this chair. But you looked past all of it." His eyes softened, full of quiet sincerity. "Emma, I didn't look past anything. I saw you. The real you. And you're extraordinary. Tears welled in her eyes, not from sadness but from the overwhelming beauty of being loved for who she truly was. In that moment, Emma realized this wasn't just romance, it was healing, it was renewal, it was a second chance at life itself. As the sky faded into twilight, Jake leaned closer, his voice a whisper. Sometimes, the best love stories aren't the ones we plan. They're the ones that surprise us when we need them most. Emma smiled through her tears, her heart overflowing with gratitude. That night, beneath the endless sky, two broken souls discovered that love isn't about perfection, it's about presence, compassion, and the courage to believe in new beginnings.